Very good evening to all. I welcome you all for the third day of SPSS workshop online. So if there is any doubts, a small notification, if there is any doubts you are having, kindly keep a note on it. At the end of the session, you can raise the doubts. We are always here to clear your doubts. So in between the session, don't raise the doubts. This is our humble request from organizer side. I welcome everybody to the program. Somu sir, you take over the class, sir.
Yes, sir. A very good evening, dear participants. Welcome back for the third day session on SPSS workshop. Before going to this today's session, just we will have a recap. Okay, what we discussed for the past 2 days. Already we discussed about how we have to see the significance value. That is the first important thing that you need to focus on when you are doing the data analysis using the SPSS. And the second important things is we discussed about the multiple regression analysis, right? So under which situations you have to use multiple regression analysis. And also we discussed about various options. Okay, what are the analysis you can do from the analyze option, how you can insert the variable, how you can insert the cases, how you have to type the data's variable's name in the variable view and the data view. And also we discussed about how to write an interpretation for the regression, multiple regression analysis. All those we discussed on the day one. And day two yesterday, we discussed about the second tool called ANOVA, analysis of variance. So here in analysis of variance, we discussed one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA. And also I explained that under which situations you have to use ANOVA. Okay, there should be in your questionnaires, your variable should be having a grouping factor. Okay, in that situations only you can use it. Otherwise, you cannot use ANOVA. And then we discussed how to interpret the one-way ANOVA as well as the two-way ANOVA. In one-way ANOVA, only with a single factor, we can able to see a significant value and all those things. And the second thing is in two-factor way analysis, we have to consider the two factors significance also. Okay, yesterday we discussed one problem, blocks and varieties. So you have to see the significant value for the blocks as well as for the variety. And then you need to conclude, you need to interpret with that value. This is what we discussed in the past 2 days session. And today, third day, we will be discussing about the third tool called Mann-Whitney U-Test, right? Yes, I shared the PPT in the screen. So third day is we are going to discuss about a Mann-Whitney U-Test. Okay. So these are the things that we discussed in the past 2 days. Just skip all this PPT and now, yes. Fine. Okay. See, yesterday one ma'am was asking me, so what is the difference between regression and ANOVA? See, what are the tools are there in the SPSS in the statistics? All the tools differ from each and every tool. We cannot say that, sir, in all the situations, can we use regression? Can we use ANOVA? Can we use chi-square? Can we use correlation? You can use, but before using that particular tool, ensure that you have such a kind of variable and your data is like that and you have such factors, such items. Okay, actually before starting a SPSS session, I would have informed you that there are different terms are there in the research, right? You need to know what is variable. You need to know what is a factor. You need to know what is item. You need to know what is metric data, what is non-metric data, what do you mean by scale, what do you mean by hypothesis, what do you mean by research design. Like this, there are different terms are there when you are planning for your research work. So when you are writing, when you are preparing your questionnaire, ensure that your questionnaire has a variables, and then each variables, okay, should consist of a different items. A variables is like a factor. Okay, and then you need to have a dependent variable, independent variable. All those things you need to analyze based on your literature review. I cannot say that, sir, for all the research work, you can use a regression. For all the research work, you can use chi-square. You can use whatever the data you are giving as an input in SPSS, it will give the output, sir. There is no problem. SPSS will give output. But the way you are going to interpret, that interpretation will give you a justification for your research work. Because if you see, most of the articles that you're writing and publishing the journal writer, when they will not go, they will see the introduction part, and based on that literature and all, everyone will do that literature review and you have to paraphrase all those things. But in the analysis part, they will ask you to give a justification, how you interpreted, on what basis. You can do They will not ask you about why you got this 0.5 value, why you got this 2 value in the output. That they won't listen that. They will ask you how you interpret it, on what basis, justification. So when you are doing the data analysis in the SPSS, interpretation is very, very important. Whatever interpretation that we discussed for the past 2 days, that is the standard interpretation that you have to give. Sir, apart from that, can I add some more value? Yes, you can. In the last session, two-way ANOVA and one-way ANOVA, we discussed there is no significant. There is a significant difference between the blocks. You can mention after that, you can mention the reason also. You can justify. Since the age group differs, okay, since the experience differ, so that the outcome variable, the performance of the employees maybe depend upon the different age factor, or maybe depend upon the experience level in the particular company. Like that, you can justify. It is not that you have to stop the interpretation there itself. You can justify. So what I'm saying is there is a difference between chi-square, regression, ANOVA, correlation, everything, but it is depend upon the variables, the factors, the items that you are in the prepared in the question. Okay, so according to that, we need to apply the each and every tool. Okay, now today, third day, we are going to discuss about Mann-Whitney U test, which is also called as a Wilcoxon rank sum test. Okay, it's a Mann-Whitney U test, which is also called as a Wilcoxon rank sum test. See, if you see many research paper, you can see this regression, correlation, all those things. But most probably this U test, Mann-Whitney U test, Kruskal-Wallis HS, they will not use it. They will not use this kind of test analysis and all. Why? Because their study, your analysis should be depend upon your study, your research work. Okay, so here in Mann-Whitney, when you can use this Mann-Whitney U test, sir. See, Mann-Whitney U test is used to compare whether there is any difference or distribution among the dependent variable of two independent groups. Once again, I repeat, it is used to compare the difference or the distribution of dependent variable. Dependent variable is what? Almost it's an outcome variable, right? If you want to measure, okay, one variable, they will analyze that whether that variable is having a difference or equal distributed among two different independent group or two different population or same population with two independent group. For example, sir, I am collecting the information about the perception of the accommodations, like teacher fraternity, perception of the accommodations about national education policy, new NEP policy. You are going to ask the perception, or you want to know. So if you are focusing on the population, your population is all the teaching fraternity, right? Accommodations means all the teachers. But in that population itself, you can categorize. How you can categorize, sir? Higher level profiles like a dean, directors, all those things. Second level, associate or readers or people with the maximum of 10 to 15 years experience. And the third level, like an assistant professor, people with below 5 years experience, the teaching fraternity. So in the same population, your population is teaching fraternity, all teachers, all the respondents are teacher. But in that itself, you are divided. Okay, you have a independent group. You have an independent group. One is the people with the higher profile, like a dean, directors, conventions, all those things. Second one is associate professors, the reader tutor, all those things. The third level is like a lower level, assistant professor. So, but you are going to give the questionnaire to all the people. When you are giving the questionnaire, some researchers, what they will do is, in the single question itself, they will prepare a different section, right? Question 1 to 10 for employees in this level. Question number 10, 11 to 20 for this people. A question number 21 to 30 for this people. Like, so your population is same, or sometimes what you can do is you can collect the data from the two different populations also. Same thing, you can collect perception of the NEP policies among the accommodations and also among the experts in the market. You can collect like that also. So when you are collecting this kind of data, when you are doing this kind of research, there you can use this Mann-Whitney U test, right? So when if you want to compare the difference in the or variations or distribution of the dependent variable among the two independent group of the population, two population or same population, right? If you are collecting the data about the perception of the NEP among the academicians in one college, in one locations, maybe the same thing from other college in other location, or maybe from the expert members from the corporate, because corporate people so will give suggestion to update the curriculum, right? So this is in these situations you can use it. So when your questionnaire, when your variables, when you are preparing a research work according to this, you can use this Mann-Whitney test. Now I think is it clear, right? So that is what the situations where you have to use the Mann-Whitney test. Clear? See, it is used to find out two populations are identical or derived from the same population, or two populations of the same shape. It is like when you are going for collecting the sample, you will be following the type of sample called stratified random sampling. Strata means group. So in the same population, in the teacher's fraternity itself, I am just making as a different group. In that situation, you can use Mann-Whitney test. Okay, see the example, another example I had quoted in the PPT. If you want to measure the attitude of the employees regarding the pay scale, right? So what is your attitude regarding your salary? So your dependent variable should be either ordinal or continuous. Ordinal means you can use 5-point scale or 7-point Likert scale. Okay, and then that measuring, they are measuring the attitude of the employees regarding their salary. Okay, based on the gender. So here gender is a two different groups are the male and female, right? Male and female. Sometimes you can focus the same survey also in two different companies. You can do that also. Sir, I want to collect the perception of the employees regarding their salary in IT sector as well as in manufacturing sector. And then I want to measure that whether there is any significant difference or whether is there any significant difference or whether is there any distributions among the different variable, among the attitude in two different population. Or I want to know the differences in about the dependent variable in the same company, same population among the two different independent group, among the male and female. So your dependent variable, the variable which you are going to measure, or it should be ordinal. It should be ordinal. That means when you're asking the questionnaire regarding your perception or effectiveness, that should be asked with the help of the ordinal scale. You should ask them to go for a 7-point scale or a 5-point scale, like strongly agree, or highly satisfied. Like that, you can frame the question. So that dependent variable should be the ordinal scale, and the independent variable, where it has a different group, subgroup, that should be a independent variable. Clear? Clear about the Mann-Whitney test now, in which situations you can use it, right? Okay. Next. Yes, fine. Okay. So this is a formula. When you are calculating manually, this is a formula they will use it. First, actually, when you are doing manually, what are the data they are collected for the variables, right? They will go for a ranking. That's why it is called as a Wilcoxon rank sum test. When you are doing manually, you got data from one variable and you got data for the other variables, and they will be allocating the rank from the ascending to the descending. After assigning the rank for each variable, they will go for finding the difference, and then they will go for summation of both the product of rank 1 and rank 2, and then they will calculate the value. Final value they will compare with the tabulated value. This is how they will follow when they are doing the Mann-Whitney test manually. So for manually, this is the formula they will use. But now here we are going to work out with the SPSS, right? Okay, so in SPSS, where is the options are? Go to the analyze and non-parametric legalcy dialog to independent sample. Clear? Once again, I'll repeat: analyze, non-parametric legalcy dialog, and two independent sample. There you need to do the Mann-Whitney test. Clear? Did you understood the concept of Mann-Whitney test? Where, in which situation you have to use? Remember, okay, you have to use, okay, you to measure your dependent variable based on the two independent group of the same population or other population, two populations also. The two populations can be the same or can be different. That is not an issue. For example, sir, I want to know the effectiveness of FMCG product among the customer. You can collect the data from the customers from the same population or from the different population also, right? And similarly, in the customer itself, okay, I want to know the FMCG, effectiveness of FMCG from the customers from the same population, where you are giving option like I want to know the effectiveness of FMCG based on the two different brand. So in that cases, you are having a subgroup. So from the same population only, but you want to focus on the effectiveness of the FMCG product on two different brand who are all using brand A, who are all using brand B. FMCG means we have a lot of FMCG like Tata, HLL, all those things are there. So who are all using Tata products, who are all using HLL. So in that situations you can use. So according to that, what you will do, you will start creating a questionnaire according to that, and then you will collect the data. Okay, you will not say that, sir, I just want to give a questionnaire randomly to people those are using FMCG product. Whether they're using Tata or HLL, I don't bother about it. If you're doing like that, you will not get that reliability, content validity, construct validity will not be there. Basically, you are wrong in framing that question. In that situation, you can't use a man-Whitney U-test because you didn't segregate the populations. From the same population, you collected the data just generally. You never had a data based on the group. There is no stratifications are there in the collection of your sample. In that situation, don't use that. Okay, ensure that if you want to use man-Whitney, if your questionnaires, if your variables, items, factors are constructed according to that, go ahead with the man-Whitney test. Otherwise, not an issue. Okay, and one more thing I want to say is it is not that, sir, we can use all the tests in the research work. It is not like we have to use all the tests. Whichever test is reliable for your research work and which will give a very good outcome, which will give a very good look and in a professional way, which will be like a good outcome for your research work. Use that analysis, that tools. That is enough. There are papers they accepted with the one tool also. If your paper is reliable, logically, it's acceptable. Even with your two analysis, one even with the size square itself, they accept it. But your paper should tell that information. It should have a proper justification, interpretation. There should be a proper flow. Okay, when you are preparing a research article, even though unless it's one or two tools you are used, no problem. But your paper should be like a quality paper. Okay, very good. Okay, yes, clear, sir. Okay, thank you so much. So now this is the data we have. So here the data that what we have is they are given the data and they collected the data from the 16 peoples. Okay, 16 samples, I say 16 here. But in that 16 still they are segregated. I want to know the how much weight they gained. Okay, how much weight they are gained. Okay, from the people by taking the diet 1 method, diet 2 method. Right. So I want to know what is the weightage gained by the young Indians, young people, by following a two different diet. Okay, if you go to the doctor, they may say according to your weight, according to your age, they will ask you to follow a diet. It is not that your doctors will suggest to go for a diet to have oats for all the age group, right? It is not. They will not say, please better take all the age. No. According to age, according to your health condition, according to your weight and in what way you want to reduce or gain, according to that, they will give the treatment. One second, I'll repeat. One second, I'll repeat. So here we have samples of the young Indians. There are 16 people are there. From that 16 people, we have collected the data about their diet conditions, weight, how much weight they are gained by following a diet 1, diet 2. So if you go to the doctor, they will tell you a different way of methods of making yourself diet to reduce the weight or to gain the weight. And depend upon your age, depend upon your health condition, they will suggest. Okay, so such type of data we have now. And they're asking you to find out, undergo a U-test, man-Whitney U-test. And in the data, they're given the significant level itself. They want to measure the output for 0.001. They want to measure the 0.01 level of significance. And they want to test whether there is any gain average between these two populations. Right. Okay, so based on that, and here they are given the null and alternate hypothesis directly. Okay, if they are not given, we can frame. Okay, so here the null hypothesis, two population samples are identical. That means you are saying that the meaning of the two population samples are identical, means you are saying that there is no difference between the two population. The people, the young Indians, those undergoing a diet, those are gaining a weight based on the two type of diet method, there is no significant difference. That much difference is not there. That is the null hypothesis you are saying. Alternate hypothesis are saying that on the average, second diet produces a greater gain in weight. That means there is a difference. There is a difference in the two different diet method. Like that, you can set your null and alpha hypothesis. Okay. So this is the data we got. Now, with this data, we are going to work out the SPSS. Okay. Now I'll stop sharing the screen. I'll open IBM SPSS. Okay, now I'll stop sharing the PowerPoint, and now I'll share the SPSS window. Okay, yes. Now, yeah, you can see the SPSS window, right? Okay. Now, go to the variable view. What is our data? We have a diet 1 and diet 2. We have a weight gain data. Okay. First, we have to mention. First one is weight. Make it as a weight. Okay. And the type will be the numeric width. We don't have any decimal values, so make it 0. And label you can mention the weight gain in pounds of young Indians based on two diet method. If you want, you can make it the label very clear, so that in analysis part you will not find difficulties. Values we are not going to assume any values, because all the values are different and it is a scale. And next one is a diet. Okay, diet, we have a group, right? Two independent group. Diet, so the two groups are not dependent on each other, because the method followed in the diet 1 is different and the diet 2 is different, right? So that is why it's called as an independent group. So here what you can do is you can mention method of diet, and here you have to nominate the value, because there are two methods are there. One is diet 1, give add. Second one is diet 2, and you can add, give okay. Okay, now here you change to nominal scale. Yes, done. That's it. Okay, now go to the data view. Okay, I told you already, before entering the data, ensure that this value labels icon should be disabled. Now it is enabled, we should disable. So take this out first. Okay, now we have to enter the weight. So what is the weight value? Okay, so weight is given in point. Okay, after decimal they are given 1 digit. So in the variable view we need to change it, make it as a 1, because we have the data in decimal. So weight, what is the weight? 16.8, 10.1, 10.7, 16.8, 10.07, 10.1, 13.5, 14.9, 13.5, 14.9, 11.9, 14.3, and 10.2. Okay, this is the weight gained by the first 8 youngsters. Okay, see, in the variable view, I just given the decimal 1. That's why I can able to enter the values even after the point that is a 1 digit. So I can enter that. Suppose, okay, mistakenly you are given 0. Now go to the data view. See, after if you are entering, for example, I'll enter the next value. Next value is 21.3. If we enter 21.3, it will show, but after entering and going to the next column, it will show 21 only. So ensure that you are given you choose the right option. So in the decimal, you have to make it as a 1, so that after the decimal, what are the numbers are available, it will show. Suppose you have 2 digits after decimal, 21.35, then there you change the decimal point as 2. Okay, so 21.3, 28.3, 15.4, sorry, 15.4, next 19.6, 20.0, next, sorry, 12.0, 12.0, 13.99, 12.0, 13.9, 18.8, and 19.2. Okay, now I entered the data. Whatever the data we got collected from the 16 youngsters, we had entered the data. These are the weight gained by the 16 youngsters by following a 2 different diet method. Okay, but there is no relations between the two group, as already told you. So you have that independent group. So your dependent variable is here weight gain. Okay, they may say, sir, how you reduce your weight? Some people will tell that, sir, I just skipped the breakfast so that I reduce my weight. Some people will not do the same thing. Some people what they did is just I had taken a food with a limited quantity. That means instead of taking 4 idlis or 2 dosas, I had taken only 2 idlis morning. Okay, and then 11 o'clock a small 1 glass of juice. And then to reduce my fat, I have taken some fresh juice. So it is differ. Diet methods differ. That's why I told you the dependent variable. Okay, if you want to know that whether there is any difference in this weight, here weight gain is a different dependent variable. Is there any difference in that weight gain according to the two independent group from the same population? Two independent groups are who? Diet 1 group, diet 2 group. Both are independent. No, it is not that diet 1 people are dependent upon diet 2. It is not like that. So when your questionnaire asks this kind of variables and factor, you can go ahead with the man-weight. Okay, clear? Now, so the first 8 data is dependent upon the diet 1, right? So 1, 1, 1 you can put to 8. And then from 9 to 16, you can put 2, 2, 2, 2. Yes. Okay, now you enable this value label. Now you got it. Right? Clear? Clear how to enter the data in the variable and data view? Fine. Now we can go to the analyze column. I already told you where we have to do the man-weight test. Go to analyze. There is an option called non-parametric test. See, after the skill, there is an option called non-parametric test. Okay, in SPSS 16, non-parametric test, directly in the first option itself, you'll be having a legal dialogue or two independent sample t-test in SPSS 16. In SPSS 21, non-parametric test, then go to legal seat dialogue. There you can see two independent samples. Can you able to see? You can see, just I can hold the screen like this itself. Analyze, non-parametric test, legal seat dialogue, two independent samples. In SPSS 16, it will be here itself. Sometimes, or the first option will be the legal seat dialogues. So according to that, you can choose. So now I will choose two independent sample. In the two independent sample only, we have to use a man-Whitney U-test, because what I told her, to know the difference of the different variable of two independent group. Okay, that's why it is we have to select two independent samples. Click that. You will get this window. Now we have to test, sir. I want to test the different variable. Here, different variable is what? Weight gained by the two different independent group. So select that weight and then click this arrow. It will go to the test variable. Next, method of diet. We have two different methods, and After that, you just give it. See here, after giving this grouping variable, see, you cannot see that OK button is enabled. Still, it will be disabled. What you have to do is you have to define that group. Define that group means how you define the group. Group 1 is 1, group 2 is 2. That's it. So group 1 is the one, I assumed one as a diet 1 method, and the second diet is as a 2. That's it. Okay, so you can give continue. Then only see, now you can able to see that OK button has got enabled. Okay, and only these things you have to define. Define the groups 1 and 2, give continue. Once you give continue, the OK button will enable. And then ensure that before giving the OK button, ensure that there is a tick mark in man-white-knee. This is called man-white-knee test. Okay, if there is no tick mark, you have to give a tick mark. Okay, and then exact options. If you suppose if you want to change the confidence level, but in this data our confidence level is 1%, that means 99% is right only. Suppose it is like a 5%, then in 99 you have to change it as a 95. Okay, but most probably I told you we have a standard significance level is 5% only. Okay, but in this data they are mentioned as 1%, so we are going ahead with that. Okay, so no need to change that. So just give that continue and options. Nothing is there. Okay, I told you if you want to know the descriptive, sir, I want to know the average weight of two different group. I want to know how many people are there in diet 1. If you want, you can choose the descriptive. Otherwise, no need. Okay, because we are not going to interpret anything with the descriptive. Okay, now is it clear? Once again, I'll repeat the step. Once again, I'll repeat the step. Go to analyze, non-parametric test, legal seat dialog, 2 independent sample. Click, choose the different variable and move to the test variable list box and choose the diet method and move to the grouping variable and choose the group. You have to define the group. Group 1 as 1, group 2 as 2. Give continue and ensure that this man-white-knee U is enabled. The tick mark is there. If not, you have to choose. Okay, now you give OK. So the output table will show. Wait, I will stop sharing this and I will show the output screen. Yes. Just a minute. Okay, I mentioned group 2 as group 1. Okay. I'll change that. That's why I'm. Okay, group 2 as group 2. Continue and give OK. Yes, I got it. Now I'll share the screen, output screen. Yes, now can you able to see the output screen? Rank and then man-white-knee test statistics, this table. Okay, now you can cross-check. Sir, I told you, right, it is also called as a rank sum test. That's why, see, there are 8 samples are there in diet 1 and 8 samples are there in diet 2. Okay, so ranking, we have to rank from 1 to 8 for the diet 1, 1 to 8 for diet 2. What is the mean rank, average rank? Okay, so that is there, but we are not going to do anything with that. But see this. So man-white-knee U value is 8.00 and the Z value is minus 2.521. When you are doing manual calculation by using this Z value only, now the calculated Z value is less than the tabulated value, then you can go ahead with the interpretation. But I already told you in SPSS, whenever we are interpreting by analyzing the data in SPSS, we need to see the significant value only. Okay, so this is the significant value, the first one. Okay, 0.012. Okay, that is a significant value. Now I'll copy this and I'll go to the PPT. I'll copy the output table. I will start writing the interpretation. I'll show you the slide later. Okay. Okay, now I'll stop sharing the output table and then I will go to the PPT now because I copied the output table and pasted in the PPT. Yes, I think you can view the PPT, right? Okay, now how you can interpret this? Since p-value, what is the p-value here? 0.012. Okay, is less than. Now tell me what we have to mention here. Less than what? Okay, anyone can put in the chat box. Since p-value is less than, what should be the value? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right. Yes, right. Because in the problem, in the given data, they mentioned 1% level of significance. In the problem they given, it's a 0.01 level of significance. So we need to compare with that only. Don't go with just like that for everything for 0.05. If you are not given, you have to go with 0.05. If it is given, then you have to do that. So 0.01. Therefore, what is the conclusion? Therefore, the null hypothesis is accepted or rejected. Null hypothesis is rejected. Okay. Null hypothesis rejected. Very good. So it means what? Alternate hypothesis accepted. You can write any way. Since p-value is less than 0.01, therefore alternate hypothesis accepted. You can write any way, but when you are giving an interpretation, you're giving a justification, give it in a proper way. Okay, interpretation is very, very important for the statistics. Okay, when you're writing a paper, interpretation is very, very important. You have to cook up a lot of logical story. Not that you can cook up the story whatever you want, but make it as a logical story which is relevant for your article, your variables, so that the outcome, so that the conclusion part is relevant to your study. If not, definitely they will give a lot commands. This is not so good. Your introduction says like this, but the way you are justifying not at all relevant. Okay, like that they will give a lot of commands also. So when you are writing a paper, ensure that you are giving a proper interpretation. Okay, very good. Now, so rejected. Therefore, and therefore the LF is rejected, and it is concluded that what is the alternate hypothesis that we had? The average gain concluded that the average second concluded that on the average the second diet produces a greater gain in weight. That is, if you want to cook up, you can make it. That is what it indicates. What does it indicate? That means average second diet produces weight means, therefore the people, the youngsters who's following a diet, a two method, or gaining more weight compared to the diet one method, compared to diet one people. Like that, if you want, you can cook up. But this first three lines is there? No. This first three lines is standard, sir. You have to start like that only. From the above table. See, you can mention instead of p-value, you can mention significant value, not a problem. Significant value, p-value are same. Okay. You can mention Therefore, from the above table, since p-value or significant value is less than the 0.01, and therefore the null hypothesis is rejected, you can add one more thing also at 1% level of significance, and it is concluded that I will lift up the interpretation. Concluded that on the average, the second diet produces a greater gain in weight. That means what? The people, the youngsters, those are following a diet 2, only those people are gaining more and more weight. Okay, they're getting benefited compared to the diet 1. Like that also you can conclude. Okay, now is it clear the Mann-Whitney test? Any doubts in the Mann-Whitney test? This is how you have to interpret, and this is the significant value you have to mention. Okay, don't take it the significant value. See, significant value B is for not corrected for ties. Okay, it is not for the exact value. This is the value for, because the significant value indicates for your two independent groups. That's why I mentioned C. A is, it's a method of diet. For the two independent group only, this data gives the output. So we have to take this significant value. This is as a p value for interpretation. Okay. Difference between one-way ANOVA and a Mann-Whitney test. That's why I say in one-way ANOVA, you may target on the same population, sir. Okay, same population, but most probably you can use it. But where we can use a Mann-Whitney means if in the questionnaire, if you have a different sections, and sometimes you may ask those who are using, for example, you're asking that how many people are using a OTT platform. There are different OTT platforms out there right now. So those who are using Netflix, can you proceed the question from this number to this number? And for other OTT platform like Amazon, okay, or Hotstar, okay, there you can proceed it. Okay, so in that situation, you can use a Mann-Whitney test. As I told you, no, from the two independence groups of the same population or two different population. Okay, in that situation you can use. Whereas in ANOVA, it mostly will be used from the same population. You will be focusing on the questionnaire. You will be focusing on the outcome variable based on the two groups, two factors from the same population, same company. Okay, I want to measure the performance of the employee. That performance of the employee is dependent upon the independent variables like experience. Okay, and suppose you are collecting the same from population 1, population 2. You can use it. What difference will make, sir, if we apply ANOVA in this example? Nothing, sir. Most probably the same. Most probably it will be the same. Only the thing is, if you are going ahead with a single population or two different population. Right. For example, now diet 1, they may take from the people from one part of the Chennai, or the other diet 2 maybe from the other part of the Chennai. So here that group differs. The geographical location differs. Going for like a cluster sampling, geographical indication differs. Whereas in ANOVA, it is not like that in that case. Only one population, that's it. Only one population, only from that particular company you are going to do. Only from one part of Chennai you are going to do that. Okay, in that situation, it means, that's why I told you, it's depend upon the way how you are going to collect the data, how you are going to target respondents, right? Okay, for sometimes some people, they will do the research by focusing on two different group of respondents, two different group of population, going for a comparative study. In that situation, you can use Mann-Whitney. That's why I told you, no, initially itself, a Mann-Whitney, it's very, very rare. Most probably, you cannot see those analysis in the papers. Okay, and then ANOVA is a parametric test, while sir, ANOVA is also a non-parametric test, sir. ANOVA is also ANOVA is a parametric test, right? Sorry, ANOVA is a parametric test, and Mann-Whitney, yeah, right, sir. Sir, in the end, would you please provide us a separate table showing which test to be used to what situation? Okay, ma'am. I think, ma'am, did you, Dr. Sanjoli Jain, ma'am? If you attended the previous workshop, I think I had shared that slides. Which kind of analysis you have to use for which which kind of data, which kind of skills you have to use for which kind of analysis. I already shared that PPT in the previous workshop. No problem. I'll inform Balasa to share that. So how to import data from Excel to SPSS? It is there, ma'am. From Excel, you can open and you can import. Ma'am, the thing is, whenever if you import, fine, you will data is imported to SPSS, but when after importing the data in the SPSS, you cannot do the analysis directly. You need to do some modification in the variable view, because directly when I'm importing the Excel data from the Excel, for example, say in the Excel you are having a 111 222 option 33 option for highly satisfied, strongly agree, or male and female. When you're importing that data in the SPSS, it will take it as a 111 222 only, because you didn't define what is one in the variable view. So there in variable view, you have to go and give 1 equal to male, 2 equal to female. That changes you have to do, that rework you have to do. Okay, otherwise it is not a problem, but your time will be reduced. For that purpose only, they will say that you can export the data from the SPSS. And sometimes when you're collecting the data through Google form, you will get raw data in the Excel, right? Raw data in Excel. So sometimes there'll be a missing value. So that you need to identify. So better what you can do is you can directly enter the SPSS data in the SPSS file. Suppose if you're dealing with n number of data, like more than 300, 500 sample, in that case, you can import the data from the Excel, but before importing, ensure that the data in Excel is perfect. There is no any missing data. There is no any invalid data. Once if you are made all this correction after, that's why in the research process, they will say, okay, when you're going for tabulating the data, go for tabulation, editing, coding properly. Coding is what we are nominating. After doing that process only, you have to go for analysis. So when you're importing the data from Excel, not a problem, you can do it, but ensure that there should not be any missing values, invalid data. Once if you import the data from Excel to the SPSS, go to the variable view and please rework on the value labels column so that your data will be perfect in SPSS. Okay, it's clear, ma'am, Amandi ma'am, and Swami ma'am's clear, sir. So whether ANOVA and t-test are used interchangeable? Yes, ma'am, you can do it. That's why I told you about t-test. There are 3 different types of t-test are there. One is for one sample t-test, another one is for 2 independent sample t-test, and then paired t-test. Okay, but both the tools should be used in a different situation. Okay, and no, sir. Okay, no problem, ma'am. I think that's why I told no problem. I will share that PPT also. What is clear? Yes, thank you, sir. It's clear. Okay, fine. Okay, so now I think this man-writing U-test is clear. This is the way how you have tried the interpretation. Sir, can you please clarify whether we have to use ANOVA and where you have to use t-test? Sir, ANOVA, I told you right now, sir. When your variables are like having a different factors, different criteria. Okay, that's what I told you. If you are taking a gender, you have a male and female. Suppose if you are if you want to measure one variable, for example, performance, employees' performance, or if you want to measure the performance of the student, you are going to categorize the performance of the students depend upon their level, or the performance of the students in the examination depend upon the different criteria like time taken for preparation, study materials, and then the teaching or the learning pattern. Okay, so here you are measuring variable performance of the students in the exam having a different category. Okay, the dependent variable. Okay, and that is depend upon there are 3 different levels: time taken, study materials, and the learning pattern. That differs according to the different category of people. All the boy students will study only at the last minute time, whereas some girl students may be prepared well in advance. In some boys itself, they will be prepared well in advance. Right. So you want to measure the performance of the students in the exam. Okay, and based on the 3 levels, like first level is study material and time taken. Third one is a learning pattern. That depend upon another independent variable with two subcategory, male and female. So how many people are taking this much time? How many people are putting a lot of effort, time taken, having a proper schedule? In that, how many are male? Similarly, how many people are having a very good study material? In that, how many are male? Like that, if you are categorizing the data for the two different variables, in that situation, you can use ANOVA. In the t-test, I told you, right? T-test, there are three way of t-test. The one sample t-test. That means with the only one variable, you can find out. With the only one variable, you can find out whether it is associated, whether it is significant or not. That value is significant or not. Otherwise, you can go for two independent sample t-test, comparing the two variables which are independent, not dependent, which are independent. Okay, which are independent. That also you can use. Right? And then there are t-test, paired t-test is there. Paired t-test means like it's like a time study. For example, sir, I want to measure the life skill or a perception of the students in the first year, and the same life skills of the students after the end of the third year or fourth year. That means after attending the training, life skill training. Before attending the life skill training, what is their perception? What is their skill? After attending the life skills training, what is their improvement in their life skill, attitude, perceptions after the training? So in that case, you can use a paired t-test before training, after training, before class, after class. Okay, before orientation, after orientation, or before using this particular software tool, or after using the particular software tool, what is the outcome? What is the production? Like that, you can use that as a t-test. So each and every tools are used in a different situation, sir. Okay, yeah, yes, ma'am, different situation, ma'am. And how to decide what to select in the measures section, that is scale, nominal, please clear it. Sir, how to decide means, that's why I told you, no, sir. Sir, there are three options, sir, in the measurement scale. Scale, nominal, ordinal. Scale means whenever you are dealing with the data directly. For example, you are entering the variable called marks of the student. Marks of the students, you have 10 students marks. All the 10 students marks are different. Okay, suppose if you want to categorize this data, sir, I want to make it this data as a grouping, means you can do it. It's up to you. No, sir, I want to enter the data as it is, means then in that situation you have to choose scale, because you are going to enter the data for all the 10 students individually. 40 marks first student, 36 marks second students, 56 marks third student, fourth students got 80 marks. Like that you are entering. No, sir, I'm not going to enter. I'm just going to make it as a level, like 30 to 60 on level, and 61 to 80 is another level, 81 to 95 is another level. In that cases, you can go for a interval scale. Interval or ratio scales will be there. And nominal scale, whenever you are asking the questionnaire, there are some data with qualitative information, not quantitative. Gender, age, age sometimes it's numeric, uh, martial status, and then a category of the student, and then designation or the category of employee. So, and then satisfaction level. When you're asking this question, your attributes is nothing but an option. The options that you're going to give is like a qualitative information, not quantitative. So qualitative information, when you're dealing with the qualitative information, you are going to nominate: one is highly satisfied, two is satisfied, three is moderate, one is strongly agree, two is agree, three is neutral, four is disagree, five is strongly disagree. In that situation, you have to go for a nominal. That means you are nominating a certain value for that particular attributes to for an identification. For example, take example this. If you are saying a number 10, okay, you are saying number 10. Which cricket player in India having a jersey number 10? Of course, everyone knows. Like 10 means which Indian player jersey number is 10. Similarly, which Indian player's jersey number is 7. Right? Yeah, Tendulkar. All right. So we are nominating. We have said that if you are nominating, that indicates some value, some information. Like that here, when you're using a nominal scale, we are nominating: 1 is male, 2 is female, 3 is a transgender. Okay, in that situation, you have to use nominal. And ordinal scale, when you have to use this, when you're asking the questionnaire, okay, can you rate the following factors from 1 to 10? And that 1 to 10, you are having that range, like most likely is a 0.10, less likely is a 0.1. That's all. You are having a limit, upper, lower limit, less, high. Right? In that case, you have to use ordinal scale: less than, greater than, more than, less than. Okay, clear, sir? Now this is clear now. Scale. Okay, I told you, that's why I told you in the previous workshop, there is a slide for which kind of a scale, which kind of analysis we have to use. Okay, it is there like that. So you can do that. And Meenakshi ma'am, thank you. So okay, ma'am, thank you so much. Sir, in t-test, just 1 or 2 groups depend on the nature of variable, but in ANOVA is compared with 3 or 4 groups. Sir, yes, in t-test there are, you can do with the 1 variables also, you can do with the 2 group, but in t-test when you are dealing with the 2 groups, it should be an independent group. And ANOVA, if you have a 2 factors, okay, 2 variables with 3 or 4 group, that means you are talking about the subgroup, no sir. ANOVA is compared with the 3 or 4 group, but 3 or 4 group for the 2 factors only for the 2 variable, that it is not the 3 variable. Okay, you should have only 2 variable. One should be a dependent variable with the subcategory. Okay, and then the other one should be the independent variable with the subcategory. That means that groups, subgroups may differ for the variable. Okay, no problem. Okay, ma'am, thank you. And in case you want to check attitudes for 2 different groups, attitudes of teacher and students towards online classes, then what are the tests are applicable? Same size. Ma'am, you can do, it is depend upon the variables that you're choosing, ma'am. Suppose if you want to compare the attitude of teacher and student, you can use man whitening, and you can use ANOVA in the, if you're having the different factors and the attitude of teacher, you can use correlation, you can use regression, you can use it. But ensure that the tool that you're using, that interpretation should give a proper conclusion for your research work. Okay, if you're asking generally attitude of teacher and students towards online class, yes, you can use man whitening, you can use ANOVA, but according to that, whether you are having such kind of a variables and the questionnaire framework, according to that, you can use that. And even you can go for a regression also, online class, depend upon the attitude of the teacher regarding online classes, depend upon the various factors. Okay, it's not an issue. You can use that. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Why we said that 1% is more than 5%, like in our interpretation? Oh, okay. Sorry. .012 is less than. All right, sorry, sir. I made mistake. Sorry, guys. Sir has pointed out that mistake. It is less than, because generally we are writing greater than, less than, less than. So in that same thought, I written here. Okay. Now since p-value is greater than 0.01, therefore null hypothesis accepted. So your interpretation will change, and it is concluded that what is the null hypothesis? Yeah, concluded that the two population samples are identical. That means what they are saying, there is no change. That is all the youngsters are having have have gained weight by following both the diet method. Okay, otherwise you can write like this also. Otherwise, there is no change in weight gain due to two different diet method. That means almost the weight, whatever the weight gained by the youngsters are same. There is no such difference. There is no change in the weight gain. Almost it is same. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for identifying the mistakes. Okay. So this is how we have to interpret. Okay. Yes. Yes. So how we can find the data is not normally distributed? Ma'am, that you have to use the reliability test, ma'am. Normally distributed or not, you have to use reliability test, and you have to do skewness and kurtosis. This is I explained in the previous workshop. And once if you collect the data, you have to go for finding the reliability test. You have to test the Cronbach's alpha, and then you have to find out the goodness of fit. If you do that analysis, from that you can see when the skewness is like when your graph comes like a bell-shaped curve. That means your data is normally distributed. Suppose if your data, if your bell curve is coming at only left side of the bell-shaped or right side bell shape, means it's like a right skewness or left skewness. That means in your study, majority of the employees, respondents, 95%, 99%, for every questionnaire, they are giving strongly agree, or highly satisfied. In that cases, there will be right skewness, a positive skewness will be there. Everything's a positive. That means you didn't have, there is no any problem. There is no any gap. Okay, that should not happen. So it should be equally normally distributed. You can check with the reliability and the skewness kurtosis analysis, map that you can do it. Okay, this one. Okay, thank you. I attended. Okay. If you attended, okay, you can remember that. Okay, sir, that we will inform. Fine. Okay, so with this, it is clear, right? So again, you have a sample data. So there is a sample data about the performance or the outcome of the apprentice. Okay, after undergoing a 2 method. Okay, the group 1 is undergoing method 1 training, and the group 2 is undergoing method 2 training. So with this, you can do this. So you people can try this. Okay, you can try this sample data. Already I worked out one data, and you can try this sample data also. Already I have given the hypothesis also. What is the null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis? Okay, you can work out this, and another sample data also I gave based on the questionnaire. See, suppose you want to measure what is the consumption of the cigarette among the youngsters. So when you are collecting for the 2 different brand, okay, you can use this Mann-Whitney test. So they are using usage of cigarette per day. I'm using a Goldflex is a 2 days. One person said that 2 days, 2 cigarettes I'm using per day, and another person saying 4 cigarettes. I'm using only 1 cigarette Goldflex per day, like that. Second brand B is like some other brand like Scissors, Wills, and some other brands other. I don't know that what is the brand. So that they are mentioning. So there are some 16 respondents are there, 16 samples are there. Okay, so for this also you can use it. So when you are collecting the data, when you want to measure your dependent variable, that dependent variable should depend upon the independent variables with 2 different groups from the same population or different population. You can undergo the study in Bangalore, and you can undergo the same study in Chennai, and you can compare, you can say, you can give interpretation also. That way also you can do it, or only in Bangalore itself you can do it. In Bangalore itself you can select a different location. Okay, So with this, we come to an end of the third day of the session. Okay. So if you have any doubts now, it's a time for a question and answer discussion. If anybody has a doubts, you can ask. So today's session is done. Anybody has doubts, you can ask, or you can put in the chat box, or if you want to unmute and ask, means you can unmute and ask. I'm ready to answer for the questions. Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good night. Okay, good night. Thank you. Sir, after solving this question, can we share you the output for interpretation? Which question, ma'am? Already I shown the output and interpretation. See this slide. Last two, you can try, ma'am, because I have given extra samples data also for your better understanding. Suppose if you, when you are working out this data, if you are not getting output properly, you just contact me, or you can ask me. In the tomorrow session, at the end of the session, you can ask me, or at the last day also you can ask me, or personally if you want to call and ask also, you can ask. Whatever the data given in the PPT, it is just for your reference and for your
0.05.
Yes, sir, good.
It is a less than, it should be rejected. When it is greater than 0.05, it should be accepted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In SPSS, sir. Yes, sir. Because this will differ when you're doing manually. When you're doing manually, they will calculate, they will compare the calculated value with the tabulated value. Tabulated value means in statistics books, there are some values are already tabulated, like a chi-square, Z value, F-test value. So after calculating that calculated value, they will compare with the tabulated value. And then when the calculated value is less than tabulated value, they will accept null hypothesis. When it is greater than tabulated value, they will reject null hypothesis. But in SPSS, it is reverse. When the null hypothesis, when it is less than the 0.05, your null hypothesis should be rejected. When it is greater than, null hypothesis should be accepted. So it's like a vice versa in SPSS. Yes, your doubt is clear, sir. Please suggest any good books, sir, for knowing well about all the statistical tests. Ma'am, there is a lot of books are there. It is not like learning from the books. The way you are getting experience in handling this software, because I never learned from any books. Okay, I learned and then I attended a lot of workshop. I worked out with a lot of data, and I learned one. There is some SPSS tutorial book is also there. I will share at the end of the 5th day. I will share that materials also. Not a problem. Whatever the data are there is a one book. Okay. Multivariate analysis. There is a one multivariate analysis book is there. That is also I will give you there. They will be very clear in the output. What are things you need to interpret so that your data is reliable, valid. All those things are there in the multivariate analysis book. That soft copy also I will share. Okay, thank you. Any other doubts? If you have any other doubts, you can go ahead. Otherwise, we will wind up the session. I think it is very clear. Man-made needs under which situation you have to use man-made, right? I think fine.
Fine, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks.
We learned many things today. So we will disconnect for the day and we will connect tomorrow, sir. Thank you. Okay. I thank all the participants for attending the program. Thank you all. Good night.